Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the stream. I hope you're all very well tonight. We had a huge number on the last stream on Tuesday. It was up to over 300 viewers, so that was fantastic. Of course, we're going to beat that number tonight. So before we begin, I just want to say a big hello to everyone who's on the stream. So I'll just go quickly through who's on the stream. We have James Greenwood. Great to have you, James. Hope you're very well. Dude, great to have you on. Ministerian, great to see you. Tom, great to have you on. Zoe Castles, great to see you once again. Killer, great to have you on moderating. Marilena, great to have you on, Marilena. Hope you're well. We have Giorgio, great to see you, Giorgio. Conservator, great to have you on. Hope you're well. We have Pete, Kenny, Dano, great to see all of you guys. We have Akismat, great to have you on again. We have English Viking, great to see you. Graham, Christian, great to have you on. Graham Lord, great to have you on. We have Morag, Ramon, great to have you on. Glenn, Archangel, great to see you. Magister, great to have you on. We have Chris Town, Chris from the town, or Chris Town. I don't know if that's a surname or it's just a made-up name. Drinkwater, we have great to see you. We have, let me see. Tiny Demolition Lover, great to have you on. I hope you're well. We have, let me see, we have Ministerian. Although maybe I've already said hello to Ministerian. My memory is going. Aaron, great to have you on, Aaron. Brian, great to see you, Brian. Hope you're well. Emma, great to have you on, Emma. Kevin, great to see you. Catherine, great to have you on. CGM, great to have you on once again. Columbrius, great to have you on with the side of cube, very good. I've just had some rum tonight, just one glass of Kraken rum. It's very, very good. Night Raven, great to see you. Although maybe I've already said it. Maybe the rum is kicking in. Kenny, great to have you. And I've already said hello to Kenny. David, Giorgio. Who else? Sean, great to see you, Sean. Max are better than PCs, great to have you on. Ali Shade, great to have you on. Tara D, Yanrar, Pops, Ian Davidson. No relation to Jim Davidson. Junai, Cameron. Who else have we got? We have Reese, hi. Jonathan, Luke, Chris Bishop, great to see you. Nico, great to have you on. DDR, great to have you on. Declan, great to have you on. Saltney, Brian, Fonz, Sheila, great to have you all on. So apologies to who I haven't said hello to. There are so many people. We're almost up to 200 viewers already. That's fantastic. So welcome to everyone who's come on the stream. Terry, great to have you on. Thanks for becoming a Patreon. Weescott's Dog, great to see you, Weescott's Dog. I hope you're well. Remember to give Putin a time. To some people on the channel, they think that Putin pays me to do this. My response is not enough. That's a joke, of course. So great to have everyone on. The main theme for tonight, of course, was the Tories and Boris Johnson taking the piss out of people. And of course, Donald Trump. I just have to say Donald Trump. I don't need to say anything more than Donald Trump. And you know what direction I'm going. Now, before I actually set up the stream yesterday, but today in Italy, there's been some news about Silvio Berlusconi. Now, Silvio Berlusconi is a big figure, of course, in Italy, and he's famous all over the world. Now, he has been hospitalized with COVID. At the moment, it's just a precaution. And of course, I hope Silvio makes a full recovery. I don't agree with Silvio's policies and his politics, but I don't wish him any ill. Okay, so I'll just read a quick, in case you didn't know, I'll just read a quick comment on this newspaper article, about Silvio Berlusconi being admitted to hospital. It says here, Italy's former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi has a mild lung infection as a result of COVID-19, his doctor said on Friday. Berlusconi, who was 84 this month, was taken to the San Raffaele hospital in Milan on Thursday night. He has not been admitted to intensive care. Alberto Zangarillo, the director of the amnesia and intensive care at the hospital, said Berlusconi's situation is calm and comforting. So that's worrying because Berlusconi is 84 years old, so he's no spring chicken. Botox may help you look a little bit younger, but inside you are still an 84-year-old. So I hope, of course, Silvio Berlusconi makes a full recovery. Now, before we get on to the next, I just wanted to make a comment about that quickly. So, of course, if you want to hit me with a super chat, you can do that. You can also support the channel by becoming a patron. I do recommend that if you can. And if you can't afford a super chat or becoming a patron, you can just hit the like button, smash that like button, or share the stream, share my videos. That's a fantastic way of supporting the channel as well. And also like and comment on the videos. That's also a great way to support the channel. And of course, I'll respond during the evening to your comments the best I can. Sean says Berlusconi is proof that the good die young. Berlusconi is a relic of the past, and what I mean by the past, the 1990s and the early 2000s. And it's weird how we have a sort of nostalgia for the past. You know, considering the types of politicians we have today in Italy, like Matteo Salvini, Berlusconi is almost a lovable rogue when compared to Salvini and the type of far-right parties that are in the Italian parliament. Berlusconi, I don't want to speak as if he has died or something, but he is a strange character, to put it mildly. Berlusconi is a dinosaur, yes. He came to power through corruption, basically. But I'm not going to talk about Berlusconi tonight. We're here to talk about Boris Johnson and the Tories, and of course, the American Berlusconi, Donald Trump. But before we get to that, I just want to read some of your comments, of course, because you guys make the stream, remember. So I love to read some of your comments. Berlusconi is an MEP right now. How great that is. Berlusconi is a teenager trapped in an aging body. Globe twig, yes. That's perfect. That's a perfect description of Berlusconi. Bertie Hearn is sitting at home thinking, I was never invited to any of his parties. Yes. The Bunga Bunga parties. My God. Berlusconi was famous all over the world for the Bunga Bunga parties. Does Berlusconi have hamsters? Yes, but they're not called hamsters. Maybe they dress up as hamsters, but they're not the hamsters that we all think as hamsters. Leon, no problem. I'm late. Don't worry. Welcome to the stream. Does he like pineapple pizza? No, he's Italian, so he doesn't like pineapple pizza. No Italian people like pineapple pizza. And any Italian who says they like pineapple pizza, you must take their passport and rip it up in front of their face, because they're not a real Italian. Berlusconi is a billionaire. He lives such a happy life. He's not dead yet. Drink water. He's he has lived a happy life. Or he lived a happy life. No, he's still around. Okay, this is not an obituary I'm reading here. Wait, coming to power by corruption sounds like we're already talking about the Tories. Yes. Hamster in drag. Berlusconi prefers bunnies. Yes. The type of blonde bunnies, I think, or at least young bunnies. I don't know if he was in someone's black book. Actually, he probably had his own black book. You didn't need to go to travel to America to meet a particular Mr. E. I'm not going to mention his name because I'd like to maintain this channel. But I don't think Berlusconi traveled to America to meet Mr. E, who had a particular black book. Berlusconi probably had his own one. He probably had a collection of black books, actually. Okay, that's enough about Berlusconi. So let's move on to how the Tories are just acting like idiots. So we have this article here from The Guardian. It says, Boris Johnson defends Tony Abbott in UK trade envoy row. So if you've been living under a Brexit stone, you'll know that Boris Johnson or the Tories have invited Dano, thank you very much for that super chat for the Kraken refill fund. I promise I won't drink on the stream because that would be disrespectful to you guys. I need to stay lucid. I'll keep it for the after game. I'll keep it for the Patreon. For the Patreon. So after the live stream, we do a voice chat on Discord. So I keep the drinking for there. So Berlusconi. I'm saying Berlusconi again now. Thank you very much for that, Dano. So Boris Johnson defends Tony Abbott. So it says here, Berlusconi. Boris Johnson. I'm always confusing Boris Johnson with Donald Trump, and now I'm confusing Boris Johnson with Berlusconi. Boris Johnson has defended proposals to appoint Tony Abbott as a UK trade envoy, despite claims that he's a misogynist. His misogynistic and homophobic comments, as well as denial of climate change, climate crisis, making him unfit to represent the UK on the world stage. You know, the Tories really choose the creme de la creme, don't they? They choose the best people. Tony Abbott doesn't have any trade experience, or not that I know of. You know, maybe he has something hidden away. But he's famous for, denial of climate change, being misogynistic, and being homophobic. And they were like, okay, well, that's the guy we need. The Prime Minister addressed the issue on Friday after days of mounting pressure to drop the planned appointment. He dismissed the concerns of a wide range of campaigners who have insisted that they are better candidates than the former Australian Prime Minister for the Board of Trade role. Knowing the Tories, they'll probably give him a few days and then they'll drop him. Tom, thank you very much for that super chat for hamster-shaped ice cubes. That's a really good idea. There must be something on Wish or on Amazon where you can buy hamster-shaped ice cubes. That's really, really interesting. I must check that out. Thank you very much for that, Tom. I don't obviously don't agree. I don't agree. Is that a double negative? With those sentiments at all, but then I don't agree with everyone who serves the government in an unpaid capacity on hundreds of boards across the country, and I don't expect to do so, said the Prime Minister during the visit to Solihull. Yes, but this is an important role. It's not just some guy, who you've never met. This is the ex-Prime Minister of Australia, and he's going to have a leading role in the Board of Trade. What I'd like to say about Tony Abbott is that this is a guy who was elected by the people of a great liberal democracy nation, of Australia. It's an amazing country. It's a free-loving country. It's a liberal country. There you go. I think it speaks for itself. So, does Donald Trump represent the people of the United States? You could argue yes or no there, I guess. Okay. Campaigners have suggested Abbott's appointment would send out the damaging message to the world that the UK's positions on various issues. They've also claimed his views meant that any deals he struck, Abbott would be unlikely to secure safeguards to protect the people he has disparaged. probably yes. I think that's a valid critique. An open letter signed by the actor Sir Ian McKellen, the Doctor Who screenwriter Russell T Davies, and almost 2,000 others said on Friday the ministers would not appoint, should not appoint Abbott to the board. I think if there's enough... Welcome, Matt Hancock. I take it back from what I said to you about you today. Abbott's not very homophobic, misogynist, just a bit. Matt Hancock, welcome to the stream. It's always a pleasure to have a Tory on the stream. Last week we actually had Tony Abbott himself. That was amazing. Tony Abbott himself came on the stream. Wow, we're up to 306 viewers. Fantastic. Smash that like button, guys. Matt Hancock, welcome. So yes, I agree. He's not very homophobic. He's not very misogynist. Let's see some of your comments. Matt Hancock, great to have you have the time for us. Matt, you really should be focusing on the pandemic. I do welcome you on the stream, but you should really be focusing on the pandemic. Lives are more important than streams. Okay? Please stop bashing that good man. Abbott, another unelected bureaucrat. No, Leon, don't go down that road. Okay, the Brexiteers would not be happy. But they would say, no, he was elected in Australia. Maybe not in the UK, but he was elected in Australia. He was elected, was it between 2013 and 2015? So he was elected at one time in the past, at a period in the past. Stop bashing the good man. I can't press the button because Killer smashed it. Vandals. I've got it all covered. Yes. We believe you, Matt. We believe you. We believe everything you say. This is a man who described abortion as the easy way out and suggested that men would be physiologically and temperament more adapt to exercise authority or to issue command, the letter says. This is a man who described himself as threatened by homosexuality and vigorously campaigned against the ultimate successful referendum in Australia to allow same-sex couples to marry. Just on this issue of homosexuality, like I have a weird feeling about people who are deeply homophobic. I don't have a problem with two men or two women wanting to get married. Why should I have a problem with that? That's their decision. When there are people have a really serious problem with that, I have to ask, why do you have a problem with that? How does that influence your life? How does it influence your marriage, for example? If you have a problem with two men or two women getting married and you're married and it's a serious problem for you, I have to ask the question, is there some problem in your marriage that you have a serious problem with that? Thank you very much, Graham Lord. If you have a chat, stick it in the chat. And I promise to respond to it if I see it. I do. Thank you very much for that super chat once again. But this idea of we have to stop this. Apart from from religion, I can't understand why people are deeply opposed to same-sex marriage. Because if it's some religious idea, okay, we can't get away from that. Because allegedly the book or the holy book says it's bad, it's wrong. But from a secular point of view, I can't think of any argument against same-sex marriage. If you want to have arguments against marriage as an institution, we can have that discussion. But that's then a discussion for another day. This is a man who has suggested that climate change is probably doing good. Okay. And downplayed the link between extreme weather and bushfires at the height of Australia's bushfire crisis. This is something funny about the climate change deniers, especially on the right. There are those on the left as well, but the ones on the right they'll say climate change isn't happening. And then you say, well, it is. And they will say, well, even if it is, it's good. I thought it wasn't happening. They'll say it's not happening, but if it is happening, it's good. In a way to get away from actually having to respond to the problem. Why do you need to respond to the problem if it's good? The Angry Bin Man, thank you very much for that super chat, for that donation. Thank you very much. If you're on the stream, please post a comment. Officially a Patreon member, fantastic! Yay! Great to see you on. Oh, sorry, it was a Patreon. Becoming a Patreon, I thought it was a donation, but same thing. Thank you. Great to see you. I hope to see you on Discord. If you have any problems, let us know. Just to go on with this, and who downplayed. Okay, while Abbott's appointment had previously been assumed to be imminent, Downing Street insisted on Thursday that no decisions had been made. So the news currently is that he has been appointed. So it's no longer if and more when. Asked about the issue on Friday, the Transport Secretary Grant Shapps stressed Abbott did not yet have a confirmed role. I hate to bring us back to reality, but he hasn't been appointed to anything so far, as far as I know, and haven't been any appointments made. That has changed. He has been now appointed. There are lots of people with whom their comments I vehemently disagree. But comments is one thing. You can say I disagree with your comments, but do you agree or disagree with their positions? So I can say something. I can make a comment, and you can agree or disagree with the comment. But do you agree or disagree with my position on something? Do you think having someone with those positions is a problem for the Conservative Party? Like, the Conservative Party had always been running on this idea that we are open. We're no longer the uncaring Tories of the past. Now, but hiring this guy sort of destroys that whole myth. I'm looking forward to global warming Glasgow kiss because it's very cold at the moment. Unfortunately, it's not about warming, it's more about disaster. Abbott would probably push for fracking in the UK again, and the CO2 neutral goal of 2030 will be dead. Or will it be 2050? Aaron says. I don't know how much of a role he will have to play on policy. I actually think he will have very little to do with the negotiations itself. I think he's just really a figurehead. He has no trade. He has no negotiating skills. He has no background in trade. So I don't think they're actually going to use him for any of the heavy lifting. They'll have their team do it. He'll be there just to, cut ribbons or sign books or shake hands, or maybe, I hope, bump elbows or whatever. I don't see him actually taking part in the negotiations because he has no ability. He's just there to be the face of it all. I think that's the reason the Tories hired him. It's to give the impression that look who we have. We have this famous ex-prime minister, on our team. It's not that he actually has any skills. It's like saying, look at our local football team. We've hired, I don't know, Rupert Murdoch. We have Rupert Murdoch on our team, but he can't play football. Yeah, but it's Rupert Murdoch. Or look whoever we have on our team, Nigel Farage. We have Nigel Farage on our team, but he can't play football. He's not good at football. That doesn't matter. It's Nigel Farage. That's basically what they're doing. So I think we can, from the perspective of negotiations, he's not going to really make any difference. But the image he represents, I think, is quite important. That the Tories have basically said, we don't care about common decency. We'll just put in whoever we want, irrespective of their positions on other issues. Okay, so let's leave that Tony Abbott for a moment. Actually, no, this is actually the interview I want to show you with with the Transport Secretary, and then we'll leave Tony Abbott. But this is quite funny. So this is the Transport Secretary being interviewed, and the question on the video was, would you go for a beer with Tony Abbott?
Tony Abbott, do you think that your colleague, the Health Secretary, misspoke yesterday when he said that what he actually said was, what he inferred was that because he was good at trade, we could forgive his antecedents?
I didn't see the interview.
Oh, of course you did. He did 6 million views on. Do you want to see?
I didn't see it. That's the typical. I know exactly what he said. You don't experience it if you have a good bottle of wine or rum. Well said, Brian. Thank you very much for that super chat.
See it.
I'm sorry, I have to put it on.
Let's have a quick look.
If you've got
Here
it.
we go. I've just told you what he said. I'm sure you don't support some of his comments. He's a homophobe and he's a misogynist.
Well, he's also an expert in trade.
So that's all right then.
Well, look, as far as I'm aware, there haven't been any announcements made on this at all. So,
well, we haven't announced anything yet, although he has been appointed. But let's just ignore what he said.
I think we should wait till we get an announcement one way or the other.
I'm asking you about Tony Abbott and whether you feel that your colleague misspoke when he said that it was okay for him to be a misogynist and a homophobe, reportedly, because he's good at trade.
Well, as I say, I don't want to sort of get in something where he hasn't been announced as whatever this trade position is. I haven't studied the Tony Abbott record, and that's the first time I've seen Matt Hancock talk about it. So I know these things get sort of blown up and sometimes sort of become a very big kind of issue here. But if he hasn't been announced, and I haven't.
But that's irrelevant, Grant. Whether he's been announced or not. Do you agree that he's at this time he was in the running? So do you agree or disagree with those points he made? And what about Matt Hancock? I know he's on the stream tonight. Welcome to the stream once again, Matt. But the idea that he wouldn't respond in the typical political way of saying, well, he probably held those beliefs in the past. I don't know what his beliefs at the moment are. Perhaps he has changed. Try to cover your arse. No. Yeah, and he's good at trade.
Personally seen all of his comments. Personally speaking, I don't think in modern society, I think people should respect each other, and I don't think I think we know the standards by which we would have conversations.
Just imagine for a moment a completely different scenario where Jeremy Corbyn is Prime Minister, and Jeremy Corbyn is looking for a new trade envoy, and he chooses someone like, I don't know. I think he's retired now. Jerry Adams. Can you imagine if he chose Jerry Adams as as a trade envoy? A weird choice, but let's say Jerry Adams for the sake of argument. Do you think the Tories would say, well, Jerry Adams has particular opinions on Ireland and Northern Ireland and the IRA, but we understand that Jeremy Corbyn is hiring Jerry Adams because of his trade abilities. I don't think that would be the argument they would be making. It's just ridiculous.
But you're inviting me on something which I'm afraid I'm not a world expert.
Shouldn't you be? I mean, if he's going to be representing us around the world.
Well, and that's the big question. If he's going to be, so why don't we wait?
Well, don't we need to know?
And I'll come back. I will come back.
I'm sure you will, but I've got you here now, so I'm going to press you if I may. He may be, given that he is a climate change denier, given that he has said some despicable things about the elderly, and it didn't matter if they died of COVID-19, they should die naturally, given that he talked about women and ironing and some of the views on whether they should succumb to sex or not.
Wow, he sounds like a perfect Tory. Grant is a Tory. He's probably saying, is there a problem with what he said? He sounds perfectly reasonable to me. Women should stay in the home. my wife, she's at home. I let her out from time to time, you know. I removed the chain around her leg, you know, so she can go out and do the shopping. Of course, I put an ankle bracelet on her to monitor where she's going. You know, that's sorry. You know, maybe I'm too liberal. You know, I let her out to the shops. You know.
Given some of the views he said about basically homophobic views, would you be happy to have a drink with that man?
Well, as I say, I mean, you're inviting me to sort of comment on somebody who...
Because I wouldn't be happy to have a drink with him, would you?
Well, I've never been invited to have a drink with him. I don't think I've ever met him.
And what if you did? Would you accept?
Well, I prefer... First of all, I'd want to check the record for myself. I'm afraid I have to admit I haven't had time to do that.
Just say yes or no. You don't actually have to have a drink with him, Grant. Cameron, thank you very much for that super chat. From New Zealand, very good. Tony Abbott is a joke. If he turned up in my country, New Zealand, it would not be good. Sorry, let me scroll up. So if he turned up in my country, New Zealand, it would not be a good look for the British government, as he is not popular here at all. Even the right in our country cringe when he talks. I know. So we did a live chat. And there's a guy who's living in Australia. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's maybe on the stream tonight. He mentioned how Tony Abbott is a fringe figure. He's not mainstream. He's almost like a Nigel Farage in Australia. He's not someone who represents the mainstream. But thank you very much for that super chat, and thanks for that comment.
And secondly, I hate to bring us back to reality, but he hasn't been appointed to anything. And as far as I know, there haven't been any appointments made. So let's wait and see. And I promise I'll come back on your programme. I'm never shy of coming on your programme. And I'll come back and talk about it if it's actually an issue.
And you don't feel that you're dodging that question?
Well, I simply, you're asking me things which are very abstract in as much as...
You can just say no or yes. Would you have a beer with him? Yes, because I think he's a cool guy. Or no, because I disagree with... it doesn't mean that you have to agree with him. You can just say, look, it doesn't mean that if you say I wouldn't have a beer with him means that I think he would make a bad trade envoy. You can say, look, I disagree with him politically, I disagree with his policies, but I think he's skilled to do the job. Unfortunately for Tony Abbott, he's not skilled. At least if he had been skilled to do something, people could say, look, he's a bit rough around the edges, but he's the right person for the job. But that's not even the case. So, you'd be well within your rights to say, look, I wouldn't have a beer with him. But Grant is too prepared. He's like, okay, here is the question. I don't want to say yes or no to it, so I have to dodge the question. He's a politician. They never say yes or no. Well said, Tom. Funny how Boris appoints a foreign type. Actually, no, Sean, I think Tony Abbott was actually born in the UK. So technically he's a foreigner to Australians. Yeah, I think he was born in the UK. He wasn't actually born in Australia. Australia don't have rules for their Prime Minister being Australian for some reason. They're not asking me for opinions. They're not supposed to have any. That's why I'm in the Tory cabinet. Yes. MP directive is to never answer direct question. Yes. Really, it's a pointless exercise interviewing these people because they never actually answer direct questions. I trust Les Patterson more than Abbott. Brexit GB now a complete joke. That's right. Unfortunately. Who would have thought a year ago that, Boris Johnson's getting Brexit done would include Tony Abbott as part of that? No, Max, he announced his British passport and took an Australian one to become an he renounced his Australian British citizenship. Okay. He was born in the UK but renounced British citizenship. Okay, I think. Yeah, I think that's the case. You can't be in Parliament in Australia with dual nationality, so Abbott might have been born in the UK. So then technically he is a foreigner. So why is Boris Johnson giving jobs to foreigners, giving top jobs to foreigners. You know, the Brexiteers would not be happy with that. Hitler loved animals. His dogs really liked him too. Dame Edna for Chancellor. Oh God, don't start the Kanzuk. Yes, oh my God, no, the Kanzuk. I will do a video on Kanzuk, but not at this stage, later on. What country is going to want to work with Tony Abbott? It's almost like Britain doesn't want any trade deals. Well, they could probably send him to, I don't know, Saudi Arabia or Chechnya. His opinions would fit in quite well in Saudi Arabia and Chechnya, perhaps. I don't know, Indonesia. I'm trying to think any other countries. Brazil at the moment. So he could actually, you know, he could win over the president of Brazil. You know, they could have a good chin wag on issues they have in common.
Nobody's been appointed to the position. So
no, but he's certainly being considered. And Priti Patel was courting him. We saw pictures of her with him. And Liz Truss is also very keen on him taking up the role.
Well, I don't think that the fact that somebody's met somebody proves that somebody's been appointed.
I'm posing for photographs in the Home Office.
Well, as I say, I'm not sure that actually proves anything apart from the fact he, was a world leader of, a major economy and economic and social friend of ours in Australia. But I know you're trying to draw me out on this. I promise I will come back.
I mean, he's said some despicable things. As I said to your colleague yesterday, you're a forward-thinking 21st century man. Do you really want to be associated with some of those comments?
Well, as I say, there are lots of people with whom their comments I would vehemently disagree, but I'm not into defending people who are not actually carrying out any role for the British government. There's no reason for me to comment on.
Okay, but he is going to carry out a role in a moment. So... Double Guitars, thank you very much for that super chat. Max, I recently became a Patreon, but my name was from my email, so you wouldn't know me. Okay, can't always live life, but keep up the good work. Thank you very much for that super chat. It's great to have you as a patron. Make sure to check out Discord. And if you want me to change your name on Discord or on super chat, on Patreon, please let me know. Contact me directly. Okay, let's move on. We're staying with Brexit in a sense. That was post-Brexit. This is current Brexit. So it says here, UK businesses demand urgent talks over fears of Brexit border chaos. Another example of the Tories not knowing what the hell they're doing. So businesses trading with the EU are demanding an urgent meeting with government ministers over concerns that there are significant gaps in the UK's Brexit border preparations. 8 logistics organisations have written to say they fear the supply chain that keeps supermarket shelves stocked daily will be severely disrupted next year if issues are not resolved before Brexit. They expressed concern that some of the IT systems have not yet been tested, with 4 months to go. Now, I talked about this before, how the government are talking about implementing a new IT system for tracking for customs declarations, and it's not up to speed. It hasn't been tested yet. Now, anyone who has worked in IT or has worked on any project even will understand that if you're implementing a new system, it needs to be tested. It needs to be stress tested. It needs to be continually tested because you're going to find problems. No system is good out of the box because you will always find problems. Now, you find these problems through testing. Then you have time to fix these problems, but you will never have a system that works without an issue. And at the moment, there isn't even testing starting, and the UK is due to leave in 4 months' time. Courting is a scary thought. Actually, I was just thinking of that with C. I was like, she said, Priti Patel courting the the premise. That's how does she call it? Like a pigeon, the way they blow themselves up and dance around making woo sounds. Is that how Priti Patel courts? Sainsbury's giant boxes of Brexit cans of baked beans for stockpiling. My Lego is going out of the box. Like the world-beating app. Oh my God, no, please, may it not be like the app. Because if it's like the app, they'll just throw it in the bin and then they'll outsource it to someone. But at least, if you outsource it to Google or Apple, they have a track record of producing software to deal with, tracking people or whatever. This is completely different. I think you need to go to the United States and import some software from there. But of course, it would be using completely different measurements and everything. Matt, great to see you on the stream. Darth Brina says, pretty courting is sexist. Fantastic. That's comment of the day. Fat farting dog. I love some of these names. Hey there to you, fat farting dog. Probably eating too much or eating too quickly. Speaking of the app and sourcing, Ireland's COVID tracker app is open source. Why don't they just take that as a starting point? Because the problem, Rory, is that if they use something open source, how are people to profit from that? How are certain businesses that have donated to the Conservative Party? How would they profit from that? If you have an open source app, anyone could work on it, and how are certain businesses or certain politicians who work with those businesses going to profit? Think about the profit, guys. You have to catch on, okay? You're slow. So they've expressed concern that the IT systems have not been tested for 4 months to go before there is enough time to educate and train companies in the new systems. Of course, the testing is the issue and the training to use the bloody software. Fueling concerns of Brexit border chaos in January. But don't worry if there's Brexit chaos, border chaos in January. Why? Because the Tories would just say it's the EU's fault. You can imagine a trucker who's arrived in Calais, or the other way. No, it'd be the other way around. Arriving from Calais into Dover, and he says, "Okay, I need this document. I need it processed," and they say it's not working. Why? The EU. No, but I need this document in order to deliver these goods. What do I need to do? We don't have this document. It's not in the system. Okay, well, what can we do to resolve it? It's the EU's fault. Okay, that's not going to work. Okay, and the politicians, Boris Johnson or the Tories, will blame the EU if things don't go well. But blaming the EU will not fix the problem. And that's what I really want to emphasize. They're going to blame people, but blaming people will not fix the problem. Hard to pretend if the EU queue is 3 hours and the UK queue is 3 days. I don't think the software exists yet, David Finley says. And I think you're probably right, David. They're not testing it because they don't actually have it. It's like, how Boris says, how far are we ahead with this Brexit border software? And Michael Gove says, what? What software? Michael, I told you to prepare the software for the border. What border? The one that Dominic Raab said, the one Dominic Raab was in charge of the border. Dominic Raab was in charge of the border? Okay. My lame attempts at comedy. You have to laugh because otherwise you're going to cry. If these issues are not addressed, UK businesses and the supply chain that we all rely on heavily rely so heavily on will be severely disrupted. Sent a letter to the Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove from the Road Haulage Association, Logistics UK Warehousing Association and others. Logistics UK, which represents freight owners, said companies that currently trade seamlessly with the EU are being asked to deal with 8 different IT systems to trade with the biggest partners in the bloc. So it's not just one system, they have to use 8 different systems. I feel sorry for these truck drivers. I hope the ones who are going to have to deal with this didn't vote for Brexit. Because I think the day that they arrive in the border and they say, okay, there are 8 different systems you have to use, I think they're going to be swearing at people like Boris Johnson and Michael Gove. The group are demanding a roundtable meeting with Gove, the Chancellor Rishi Sunak, and the Transport Secretary Grant Shapps. 4 of the IT systems are being rolled out by the UK authorities, but haulage are then faced with 4 other systems when they arrive in France, Belgium, the Netherlands, or Ireland. So, like, you can imagine a company who's selling goods all around Europe to different countries. They're going to need different systems, and it's going to increase costs for them. One new IT system known as the Smart Freight, probably not very smart, traffic light system, is designed to ensure drivers who do not have the correct paperwork for export to the EU will be barred from going into Kent, and therefore adding to congestion on local roads and to the port of Dover. So imagine this, you're delivering goods, you arrive at the port and they say, oh, you don't have the right document. You have to go somewhere else. How much time is wasted doing that? And not just time, but money, because goods don't arrive on time, but also the truck drivers have to go and travel to these other locations. And all of this was avoidable. But it was to satisfy a small group of people in society. They have been told they face fines of £300 if they drive into Kent without the right documentation for international transit. So even if, you haven't been told, you haven't been correctly told what you have to do, and if you don't do it right, you get a fine of £300. It's like, you're walking down the street and the police stop you and say, hey, why are you walking on the pavement? You say, because I'm supposed to walk on the pavement. You say, no. You have to walk on the road now. I didn't know about that. Yeah. It's we introduced it this morning. Now you and because you were walking on the pavement, you have to pay £300 fine. Logistics UK says the system will not be ready, will not go into beta phase testing until the autumn. Beta is the first phase of testing, of course. We're concerned that mass user testing of the software will not be possible until October or maybe even November. This is far too late for the thousands of companies and tens of thousands of people who build our complex supply systems to redesign their own processes and contractual relations, says Sarah Laraudi, the European Policy Manager at Logistics UK. Delays in rolling out the IT system have fueled fears of congestion and chaos, with queues developing in lorry parks in Kent and new sites set to be commandeered for holding lorries across the country. That's a really interesting word, commandeered. That was the type of language we used during the war, during the First World War and the Second World War. We need to commandeer your hotel. We need to commandeer your vehicles because we're in a crisis. There was nothing written on the side of a bus saying, vote for Brexit, we're going to commandeer your garden. Really, who voted for, commandeering people's property? Of course, this is going to go to the courts and, commandeer means not paid for. So it's seizing your property. Of course, I think this is going to go to the courts. If do the government have the ability? Maybe this was part of Boris Johnson's COVID Act, or was it part of his was the legislation he pushed through Parliament in order to have more power? I can commandeer whatever I want. I can commandeer your family. I can commandeer. Yeah. Britain always commandeers countries. But this is just another demonstration of crisis. What crisis? This is just another demonstration of the Tories not knowing what the hell they're doing. You can't say we're going to roll out a system that hasn't been tested, and then expect people who don't know how to use the system or don't use it correctly are going to be fined £300 for making mistakes. I think it's just waiting. It's a disaster in the making. Let me read some of your comments. Should the EU do anything about Spain and Poland, or would that be overreach? I'm not sure what you mean by Poland. Emergency powers. Jude says emergency powers. You can understand the COVID emergency powers, but there was nothing written on the side of the bus. Vote for Brexit and you give the government emergency powers. Although some people probably would have voted for to give Boris Johnson emergency powers. Anyway, the radical right are going to come and commandeer your car, your home, and your food. We voted to have everything commandeered. Super Tramp. I'm not sure what the Super Tramp. Commandeer, aka gun beats spear. Yes. John Cleese just called Boris. He wants his Monty Python sketch back. That was replying to an earlier comment. Sorry. Okay, no problem. Okay, then. We're about halfway through the stream, so I just want to take a little break. As always, if you're new to the stream, we're up to over 300 viewers. If you're new to the stream, normally just about halfway through, we have a little break where I put up a funny video, just to lighten the mood, because it can get a bit depressing sometimes. So I'll just post this. Hopefully it will work. We won't have any problems. Okay, so this is Alan Sugar Baby's Prick Like Me. So let's hear what he has to. Let's hear this song.
Let me lay it out to let. I've got a load of office space above Pratt. So be a good little prat and do my bidding. I don't care what you say, I make the bulk of my fortune this way. Cause it's all about the debt hole in me. You go to work in the morning, home in the evening, that's the creed. I need a workplace culture that can satisfy my enormous greed. Has anybody really died? Look at me, I'm still alive. I've got a property empire that isn't worth a damn unless you get back out of your cheap jam. Cause I will be a prick right through the day until the dawn. And you can be full of rent, earn your corn. Come on and get a train back into work like a mindless drone. Cause you can't be full of dosh when you work from home. Is this a wind-up?
Very good, Alan Sugar. Okay, let's move on. Before I move on to Donald Trump, I promise. Damn ads! I need to change my settings. Okay. So this is a report from Sky News about the union. So it's has coronavirus left the UK union in trouble? So we know that what's happening in Scotland is quite different to what's happening in England regarding the pandemic. And he's not Sinatra. Yes. Love the song, Glassy. The Ian Duncan Smiths, I recommend their channel. So Boris Johnson has been shown to be incompetent when it comes to dealing with this pandemic. And there is a huge contrast north of the border with what Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister, has been doing. So let's have a look at this report and I'll give you some commentary on it.
Could you just explain what the union means to you?
The United Kingdom, the union of the United Kingdom, for me, it's the greatest political partnership the world has ever seen. It would be such a shame to lose the power, the magic of that union. We are much, much stronger and better together than broken up.
But why is it that you are the greatest threat to the union? Boris Johnson is the greatest threat to the union. Boris Johnson says, yeah, the union is strong, the union is unbreakable, but Boris Johnson himself is the biggest threat to it. What was the name of the silly video? It was Lord Sugar Babes, I think it was, if you search for it on YouTube, Racer. But look at what happened in Northern Ireland. Boris Johnson went to... There was the possibility of maintaining... So with Theresa May's withdrawal agreement, there was the possibility of maintaining the United Kingdom pretty much united with the backstop. The backstop was removed and Northern Ireland was basically on its way to becoming part of the Republic of Ireland, a united Ireland eventually. So that was speeded up. I believe it was eventually going to happen anyway. History sort of marches in that direction. But it was speeded up by Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson basically, and I've said this before and I'll stand by these comments, Boris Johnson done more for United Ireland in 3 months than Sinn Féin and the IRA could do in 70 years. So I wouldn't go this far, but I said, you maybe when Ireland becomes united, they should build a statue to Boris Johnson in Dublin or in Belfast, commemorating his his contribution to a united Ireland. Now in Scotland, the situation is a little bit different, but the Tories are not helping the union. They are hindering the union. If you were a unionist, you would be extremely angry with Boris Johnson and the Tories. They undermine the union constantly. Just look at the way they treat members from Scotland. And I'm not talking about just the SNP. Members of Parliament in Scotland, how they treat them in Parliament. They ignore them. They laugh at them, they undermine them, they treat them without any respect. And I've said this before, if you don't... treating the politician, the politician who represents a constituency with disrespect is an automatic sense... It's automatically disrespecting the constituents. You're saying basically, I'm not listening to this person, I'm not listening to the people who put this person here. Hi guys, sorry, there was a problem with the stream. I don't know, YouTube kicked me off the stream for a moment. It should be back now. Apologies. Damn hamsters. Do you hear me now? Please tell me if you can hear me on the stream. And he's back. Refresh works. Okay. Italy is falling off the internet. Okay, back. Great. Apologies for that. I'm not sure what happened. The stream just kicked me off for some reason. But I was probably speaking and I didn't notice I was disconnected. So Hancock is dossing you. Yes, probably. But just to say about Boris Johnson, going north of the border undermines the union. He doesn't actually make the union stronger. He undermines the union. But let's hear what they have to say in this video anyway.
But if it is magic, why are we seeing things like this? I don't think Boris really cares about Northern Ireland particularly, and I think that Dominic Cummings cares even less.
When the UK government talks about a four nations approach, they tend to mean they come along, tell us what the decision is and expect us to fall into line.
I feel like we're very separated already.
Oh, damn ads. Hold on, just want to skip this ad.
Taken it for granted for a bit over generations that the Union is there and nothing will ever really disturb it.
Brexit is a major challenge for the Union, both Scotland and Northern Ireland.
We vehemently opposed the Brexit deal, and what I have to do is to make sure that I mitigate against the damage to the Union.
You have to mitigate against the damage to the Union. You know that Brexit was the biggest challenge to the Union. Really, I don't understand why the DUP supported Brexit. Maybe they supported Brexit. Max is disconnected from the pineapples. The DUP supported Brexit because they hate the EU. They don't actually understand what the EU is, but they hate it. And because they hated it, they wanted... you need ad blocker. Yes. Nicholas, great to have you on the stream. I made it. God bless those in Northern Ireland. I have Irish heritage and I'm born English. And you, poor sods, have been through hell. I apologise for the disgraceful moments of Boris. Bless you all. Ghostly. Thank you for that. Do you like Valouche? Yes, I do, Valouche. I do like Valouche. DUP supported Brexit because of £1 billion. There, Christian, well said. It was about the money. It was about the Greens. The dosh.
After everything that politics has thrown at us over the last 5 years, embarking on another row about identity and legitimacy and flags felt, well, unnecessary. But that was before coronavirus came along, which does not respect the status quo or political boundaries, meaning it's getting ever harder to ignore those voices asking whether or not the United Kingdom is fit for purpose.
The claim to be tested over coming months and years is that coronavirus has bolstered the chances of Scotland breaking away from the rest of the United Kingdom.
Through a crisis over the last 6 months, perhaps people in Scotland have seen that no matter how difficult the challenges you face, you can do better and you can navigate your way through it better if you're in charge of your own decisions and your own fate rather than having that decided by people elsewhere.
And I think this has been, not that they wanted it, of course, but it has been a huge boost to Scottish independence. I think the pandemic has really helped Scottish independence. It has demonstrated that Scotland is not this wee country that is incapable of taking decisions. It's not a wee country that needs support from Westminster. They have demonstrated that they have been able to deal with this problem, this pandemic. They have been able to do it, not just be able to deal with it, but they have been able to deal with it at a level that's much better than other parts of the UK. And they have received international recognition of that. The Tories, I feel, decided not to deal with the pandemic because they didn't care about the people who were going to be affected by it. And now the union is paying the price. I think it would be an interesting experiment if Boris Johnson had not been in charge, but if Jeremy Corbyn had been in charge. Would the situation be different? Probably not. I think there would have been greater cooperation between Westminster and Edinburgh. But I still think the issue of independence, is something that's beyond COVID. It's beyond this current situation, with Brexit. It's something that is somewhat beyond all of those issues. It's something that is moving It's like a train moving along, and whatever people put in front of it is not really going to stop it. It may slow down, but it will never stop. Unionists insist. I just think they're Boris and co. incompetent. I don't know if it's even incompetence. I think there's a bit of incompetence, but there's also a bit of malice there as well from the Tories. They don't care about ordinary people.
She's in a position where she is talking to people about their safety and about dealing with the virus. The difficulty for the UK government is we're in the position where we're talking also about funding the 900,000 jobs in Scotland we're supporting, 6.5 billion of financial support to the Scottish government. It's more difficult for the people who are paying for it to go through the pandemic than someone who is, if you like, dealing with the health aspect of it, but not dealing with the financial aspect of it, not writing the checks.
Okay, but there's this is something that really annoys me, is that the way that the government in Westminster treat Scotland pretty much like a county or a local authority. That doesn't actually raise money itself, or doesn't have the ability, it doesn't have the permission, I should say, to raise money itself, and that anything it does is thanks to central government. I think their vision is wrong. I think their perspective is wrong. And I think once Scotland does become independent, it will demonstrate clearly to people that it was not a case of Westminster writing cheques to fund Scotland.
Dealing with both aspects of this pandemic have been the businesses, particularly those on the borders, their lives complicated by the divisions and differences between the nations.
I think it could have been a more joint-up approach. I see the people that were pro-independence even more so now. I see people that were on the fence warming to Nicola Sturgeon and what she could do for Scotland as an independent country.
Scotland, like Wales and Northern Ireland, got through coronavirus with the help of the furlough scheme, funded by the United Kingdom collectively. But for some young independent supporters, they still want to break away, fully aware of the uncertainties this causes.
It would be scary to say if we did voted for independence and we had the pandemic happened and I was on furlough and I would not have been paid for how many months. It would have been a massive struggle. So I can see the positives, and there is so many positives of being in the United Kingdom, but I also believe that we could, and we don't know until we do it.
Apologies for the ads, guys. I will install an ad blocker, but please don't you install an ad blocker.
Is how a referendum happened in the first place. There is no reason to doubt Boris Johnson when he says that one will not happen while he is Prime Minister. But that doesn't mean that one won't happen at all. So, no in all circumstances to independence is your view?
Yes.
And no in all circumstances to a referendum is your view?
Well, there is no case for a referendum when we are still in the midst of a pandemic.
It's just the Tories...
But how is that relevant? Okay, you can say, but then you would say, well, we're always going to be in a pandemic, and there's no need for a referendum. But a referendum is different from the dealing with the pandemic. That's like saying we shouldn't have any elections because there's a pandemic. We can find a way around it. Will an independent Scotland try to annex Carlisle? I can't answer that. If England can have its Brexit, why can't Bojo refuse Scotland a second independence referendum? I'm pro-Indy mainly based on economic realities. Westminster demanded the purse strings. Live with it. Richard who? I think he's the Labour leader, yes. Next year's Scottish election, if the SNP actually win an absolute majority, the question of referendum will be unavoidable anymore. Who's that? No, not Carlisle.
Use the language of never, and you use the language of no plans, and people will hear the difference.
See, this is the contrast. This is the conflict that there is with people who say the union is strong, but not strong enough to withstand another referendum. You know, if they had said, look, the union is strong, let's have a referendum tomorrow because the union is strong. But they don't say that. They say, yes, the union is strong, but we don't want a referendum. Why? Because people may vote yes. But if the union is strong, then people will not vote yes. People will vote no. Scotland has considerable assets, technology, agritourism, renewable energy, fisheries, and of course they could drive as well as an independent European country. I saw a very interesting video today. If somebody remembers who, I'm not going to search for it now because I'll just disrupt the stream. But there was a very interesting video about currency, what currency Scotland could use. And this man explained that Scotland could have its own currency, and what it could do is it could build up reserves, and it would be able to be truly independent if it had its own currency. So it's not in Scotland's interest to use the pound sterling or the euro, at least in the short term. At least in the long term, sorry. In the short term, it's possible, but it makes more sense to LTDR. No, it wasn't LTDR. Richard Murphy. Thank you very much, Killer. Yeah, Richard Murphy. I recommend looking at Richard Murphy's videos. He's on the ball there. I'll post a link on the community page, and if I don't, one of the mods will remind me to do that. About his videos, they're very, very good, and they explain in very simple terms how independence would work, and he explains the issues surrounding it. But let's get back to this guy, whatever his name is.
So I'm saying that we will be going into the elections for the Scottish Parliament next year on a manifesto platform saying we do not support a second independence referendum, and so we will seek to get a mandate from the people for that.
Why would you? But this really doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to run on a manifesto to not give people a choice. Yeah, I know it has worked on Brexit. You know, when we back last year when we're saying the British people want a second vote. People want a people's vote. And the Tories ran on the manifesto saying, we're not going to give a people's vote. We're not going to give people democracy. Will it work again in Scotland? Will it work the idea we're not going to give people another choice? But give people the choice. If they vote no, then you're okay. But saying we're not going to give people the choice doesn't sound very democratic to me. Now, I can't get my head around it. If you truly believe the union is strong, then any challenge to the union would be defeated. You're only against a referendum if you feel that the union is not strong. But please be honest about it. Say, look, the union is weak. A referendum would destroy the union. I believe that the union should not be destroyed. But I'm a Democrat. So I believe we should support a second referendum, and I will fight against Scottish independence. That should be their position. I would fight for the union. Even Starmer is distancing himself from Richard who. Brexit is more than enough reason. Yes. Short-term peg to euro, long-term currency and central bank. Yes, they need a central bank for sure. Jimbo Jones, the zombie party.
Position.
Over the Irish Sea from Holyrood to Hollywood, a unionist heartland in Northern Ireland.
This Hollywood, make sure you don't visit if you're looking to meet celebrities. Okay.
And a mother and daughter here showing unions can go their different ways. A generational divide that rings alarm bells amongst those who oppose any talk of Northern Ireland reuniting with.
This is something very interesting. I'm just going a little bit off topic, so I'll just show you the flags. The flags are very interesting. The flags for me represent a nation under threat, a community under threat. It's as if the unionist community feel we need to put up our flags to demonstrate that we're still British. Boris Johnson has thrown them under a bus. The Tories have thrown them under a bus. But they're still holding on to something from the past.
Any talk of Northern Ireland reuniting with the Republic?
What does the union mean to you?
It means stability for me, I think, and I think my generation would sort of feel the same.
That's a very interesting question. So interesting question and interesting response. What does the union mean to you? It means stability. It doesn't mean pride. It doesn't mean rule Britannia. Britannia rules the waves. It's very pragmatic response. Yes, it means stability, and it did mean stability. Now Boris Johnson came along and he undermined that stability. He dug a hole under that stability, and the building collapsed. Union means stability. Good to know. Such a shame most didn't think of that 4 years ago. It meant oppression built on misery. But I understand that, Sean. But I'm just responding to what she had said. The Tories running on the slogan that if we're the Tories running on the slogan that if we're not giving people a vote or democracy, it's the history of the Tory party for almost 300 years. Union mean stability only since Good Friday Agreement, yes. Then embussment. That was Doug. So, for this lady, the union meant stability. The Tories and Boris Johnson undermined that stability, so the union doesn't really exist anymore, does it?
What does the union mean to you?
Well, I've never had to ask myself that question before, so I don't really know. But at this moment in time, less and less.
This is not a DUP supporter, but even if it were a DUP supporter, she's answering, very honestly. I don't know what it means. What does the union mean? Madame B, the unionists in Northern Ireland, which they're the ones who voted for Brexit, 60%, say it's their own fault. So it's their own fault. Some of them have come around to it. Now the hardliners, of course, don't. They will say we support Brexit no matter what. Even though we don't know what Brexit is, even though Boris Johnson has thrown us under a bus, we will still support Brexit. The border between Northern Ireland and the Republic is gone, and it's just one nation. Make it official. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before there is a United Ireland. But I've said before on this channel that United Ireland will not be declared one day. It's now a United Ireland. It's going to be a gradual process. But I think it could be possible within the next 10 years. Ulster farmers knew well about it. But I think a lot of Ulster farmers voted for Brexit. But I could be wrong. But I know... No, I think it was... Yeah, I think it was the farmers who voted for it. I'm from Trieste originally. Oh, welcome. Great to have you on from Trieste. I know Slovenia well. Small country, 2 million, emerged from bad economic situation in Yugoslavia, now very prosperous. I don't see why Scots can't have the same. How are you all feeling about food shortages? I think they will be coming after Brexit. I'm just going to show you a little bit more of this video and then we'll move on to the next topic.
The public is often far less sentimental and much more practical about questions like what country they want to live in.
I don't think as many people want a United Ireland as people say, because the level of living here is much higher.
Do you see that creation of...
The level of living is much higher in Northern Ireland. I actually don't agree with that. Now, it depends on what your barometer is. But it's still quite a long way away from, Ian Paisley's Ulster Says No and Ulster Says No. Okay, I'm not doing a very good accent there. Ulster Says No. Okay, I'll stop. But it's a long way from this, we are British, we are British, we are British. It's gone to stability, where we used to have stability, to we have higher standards of living, which aren't all that true, actually. It used to be the case, yes, in Northern Ireland. You knew when you travelled into Northern Ireland because the roads were better. But that has changed. That's no longer the case. And after Brexit, I think you're going to have the reverse, because the UK economy will be extremely contracted. And, Northern Ireland needs a lot of investment. It needs a lot of money from abroad, from Westminster, I should say. Northern Ireland is not self-sufficient. Northern Ireland, for example, could never become a country on its own. When Rishi Sunak says we have to cut costs, Northern Ireland is going to suffer, and the Tories won't give a crap, because it's no longer there. It's no longer an issue for them. They don't need to care about Northern Ireland anymore. Brexit sealed that fate, which makes me sad for the people of Northern Ireland, especially the unionist community, because I have no ill will towards the unionist community. I have no time for the likes of the DUP, but the ordinary people who believed in the union, I feel sorry for them, because they grew up in that. They're not bad people, ordinary people just wanting to have a normal life. And they, in a sense, were thrown under a bus by their own government.
Imminent?
I think the conversation has very seriously begun.
If you had to point to specifics that demonstrate cooperation on a scale we haven't seen recently or before, what would they be?
We have 2 world-leading contact tracing apps that have allowed us to combat the virus as best as possible on a north-south basis. We have had cooperation around keeping vital trade links and transport links open through our 2 transport ministers. There has been cooperation around the hospitality sector and how that is opened in a staged and managed way.
Don't read too much into these moves, insists Northern Ireland's First Minister.
Recently,
I think Arlene Foster should see about getting a new passport. Get an Irish passport, Eileen, because you're no longer going to need your British passport. I don't know. Do you think? Does anyone think that she has a blue passport, or maybe a black passport? And actually, a question for anyone on the stream: have you updated your passport recently? If you're living in the UK. And have you received a black passport or blue passport officially in the post?
There have been quite a lot of issues where Northern Ireland and the Republic have cooperated. Is there a pattern of moving a bit more to an all-Ireland approach?
We will cooperate, of course, and share information with our neighbours in the Republic of Ireland, because it's the right thing to do for our own citizens here in Northern Ireland. If you take the app, for instance, we decided to develop our app in a similar way so that it is interoperable with the app that's coming on the mainland and also with the app in the Republic of Ireland. That's sensible. I don't apologise for that.
Also not apologising for Brexit, but having to implement a deal that she doesn't like, done by a Prime Minister she helped put in number 10.
We vehemently opposed the Brexit deal. I think it did damage the relationship between the 2 of us. I have to recognise that is the reality now, and what I have to do...
Then why the hell did you support Brexit? Really? I really don't understand it. What was going through these people's minds? Let's support Brexit. You had to understand that the conflict was Brexit or the Good Friday Agreement. I know that the DUP didn't give a crap really about the Good Friday Agreement, but they had to understand that a United Ireland was coming eventually. And if it was a case of the Good Friday Agreement or Brexit, they had to have thought that the Good Friday Agreement was the lesser of the two evils in their minds. Maybe they had this idea that the UK would leave and they would be brought along as well, and there would be a hard border in between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and it would stay like that permanently, and that there would be no international pressure, that the Republic of Ireland would be completely okay with that, and that Northern Ireland businesses would be okay with that.
As the leader of unionism in Northern Ireland, is to make sure that I mitigate against the damage to the union.
The future of the union.
So Brexit was about So Brexit now is about mitigating damage.
Has too often been boiled down into a pantomime.
Yes, it is a pantomime. Once again, I think the people of Northern Ireland are really going to suffer under Brexit, even though there is going to be a deal. The withdrawal agreement protects Northern Ireland a great deal, but after that, I still think it's going to be problematic for Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is going to suffer because of Brexit, because there's so much trade between Northern Ireland and Great Britain. Anyway, that's enough on that. I'm going to move on to the next topic. So Donald Trump, I know a lot of people are probably abandoning the chat at this moment. Donald Trump is a very particular individual. So there is this news story from The Guardian. It says, and it's actually going around the web at the moment. Let me just see that it has appeared on your screen. Okay. This image actually reminds me of was it Damien? You remember the Omen? I don't know. It's just the image sort of reminds me of. I think there was a meme going around about the kid from Damien. Now look at him. He has aged somewhat as Donald Trump. Anyway, so Donald Trump calls American war dead suckers and losers, report claims. Now, of course, his cabinet, his government will deny this. No, how dare you even suggest that Donald Trump would say such a thing. But does anyone really believe that Donald Trump is not capable of saying something like this? 324, way fantastic, 324 viewers. Hit that like button, guys. Remember, smash that like button. If you'd like to become a Patreon, please do. You gain access to our Discord server, and after the stream we have a good chat on Discord about the stream, about many different things. We have audio chats at least twice a week, maybe 3 times a week if I'm on as well. So you can become a patron. It's great fun there. Lots of fun and crack, as we say. Okay, so Donald Trump cancelled a visit to pay respects to the American military cemetery outside Paris in 2018 because he thought the dead soldiers were losers and suckers. And Republicans still support him. Yeah, he cares about our military. And this, the war dead, which the US referred to as the greatest generation. And he did not want the rain to mess up his hair, according to an explosive news report. Mr. President, do you want to go out and lay a wreath at our military's cemetery outside Paris? Why? It's raining. It's going to mess up my hair. I'm not going out there, to waste time on those losers and suckers. If they're dead, they lost. At the time, Trump explained the cancellation by saying his helicopter could not fly in the rain. Yeah, and the Secret Service would not drive him to our Saint-Marin American Cemetery. I know I'm mispronouncing that, excuse me. Where 1,800 US Marines who lost their lives in the First World War battle at Belleau Wood were buried. Now, the public claim was true, according to 4 people with first-hand knowledge of the discussion that day, quoted the new report by Jeffrey Goldberg in The Atlantic. Why should I go to the cemetery? It's filled with losers. The report quotes Trump as saying, Trump also called the war dead suckers for getting killed. You know, I'm not exactly pro-war, but you treat the dead with respect. You treat them at least with some level of respect. Lenhan, thank you very much for that donation. Kevin says, Max, cash for Ash was going through my mind when Theresa May gave her extra $1 billion in the first year of her premiership and clear pass on corruption investigation. Yes. I hope Dems milk the story for all it's worth. They should, put up a poster, Donald Trump, a picture of a cemetery and saying, losers and suckers, and run with that. Even if he denies it, hopefully it will stick. Ask Republican senators, people who are running for office, do you agree with the president when he says that the war dead were losers and suckers? What can they say? No, I disagree with the president. And then they get a call from Donald Trump saying, why do you disagree with me? Or if they say, I agree with the president, then hopefully they'll lose their seat. Trump also asked aides, who were the good guys in this war? I did not understand why the United States would intervene on the side of the Allies. No, this is not serious. This can't be serious. So let me just read this again. Trump asked his aides, who were the good guys in this war? Like, in the First World War, who were the good guys? I'm not expecting him to be, a professor of World War I history. But Jesus, who are the good guys? And he didn't understand why the US would intervene on the side of the Allies. Yeah, why did we join the Allied side? Why didn't we join the other side? Who are on the other side? Germany and Austrian-Hungarian Empire and the Ottoman Empire. Why didn't we join those guys? Ottoman. Sounds cool name, Ottoman. Maybe we should have joined those guys. Oh my God. Trump asked, Trump denied the report on Twitter Thursday, saying, I never called our fallen soldiers anything other than heroes. This is more made up fake news by the disgusting and jealous failures of the disgraced attempt to influence the 2020 election. But see, that would be okay. We could sort of dismiss that if there wasn't another precedent. Because when was it some years ago, Donald Trump said that he didn't like John McCain because John McCain got captured in Vietnam. And he thought that was, he said, winners don't get captured or something like that. Only losers get captured. And something special about John McCain. I was no fan of John McCain, but John McCain had the chance to be released from prison in I think it was in North Vietnam where he was located near I don't remember the name of the area, but he was in North Vietnam. He was in a prison camp, and he was given the opposite. There was a diplomatic attempt to have him freed, and he decided, I'm not leaving because I'm not abandoning my fellow soldiers. That is heroic. Whether you agree with the war or not, whether you agree with John McCain or not, you have to admit this was a heroic thing to do. He had a chance to leave, and he said, no, I'm not leaving. Even though these people have tortured me, they beat me, they starve me, they interrogate me constantly, I'm not leaving my fellow soldiers behind. So he was, heroic for that. Let me also say that I completely disagree with his politics. And unfortunately, I think he was very pro-war considering what he went through, you would think he would be the opposite. No, his wife was waiting. John Keller, you're very mean. Imagine gambling your life and health in the military for a number of years in the hope that you'll make it back alive and go unhurt to the university. America is sick. Yeah. I can tell you that the French police can clear the roads for VIP with no problems. With the police escort from central Paris to the Arsène Cemetery is no more than 30 minutes. So, of course, Donald Trump didn't want to go. He's like, but I'm not the center of attention. These dead guys are the center of attention. Friggin' losers are the center of attention. That would have been, I'm pretty sure, Donald Trump's response. Is it about me? No, it's about the First World War. It's about the people who died in the First World War. So it's not about me. Yes, but you're normally expected to go and do this because you are the head of state. Yes, but it's not about me. No, sir, it's not about you. Then I'm not going. That would be Trump's response, I can guarantee. One man being so incapable of understanding why you chose to serve. Okay, but so many devoted supporters. And people who went to Vietnam, people who suffered in Vietnam, and Trump, avoided Vietnam because he had the right connections, and these people still support this charlatan. I don't understand it. If Donald Trump had said, I'm not going to war because I disagree with the war, that's one thing. But he didn't go to war because he was like, I'm not going there. People shoot at me. But I'll support the war from afar. Get me out of here. Get me out of the draft. On Friday, Trump attacked the Atlantic magazine, accusing it of making up a fake story in order to gain some relevance. Yeah, like the Atlantic isn't relevant at all. Stop Karaoke, thank you very much for that super chat. Love your channel, Max. Thank you very much. You're very kind. If you have another comment, please stick it below. I'll try to. If you have a question, I'll try to respond. Spindrift says Michael Moore is in one of his films went to Capitol Hill with recruitment brochures and tried to get senators to sign up their sons to the military. The politicians were horrified. What? My son? No, we only send poor people. Poor people to fight for rich people. Trump is more like Goring, not Hitler. Yes. But in every way. No, that's the perfect. That's the perfect comparison. The people on the left have it completely wrong. Donald Trump is not like that. Is not like Adolf Hitler. He's like Hermann Göring. Oh my God! Yes. To gain some relevance, yes, right. But the report was supplemented on Friday morning by the Washington Post, which quoted a former senior administration official saying that Trump frequently made disparaging comments about veterans and soldiers missing in action, referring to them at times as losers. Of course, because, hey, you didn't die for me, then you're a loser. Or, you didn't come back alive and vote for me, then you're a loser. The Post quoted a person familiar with the discussion as saying that Trump told senior advisors he did not understand why the US government valued finding soldiers missing in action because they had performed poorly and gotten caught and deserved what they got. Now, this could be all fake. This could be all a fabrication. But if it turned out to be fake, we wouldn't be, if it turns out either way, we're like, yeah, okay. I'm not surprised if Donald Trump said this. If it turns out to be fake, okay. But if it turns out to be true, it's not a big surprise. Joe Biden, the Democratic presidential nominee, issued a statement on the allegations. If there are in today's Atlantic article are true, then just yet another marker of how deeply President Trump, how deeply President Trump and I disagree about the role of the President of the United States. He needs to make hay with this. Dr. Johan, welcome to the stream. Hello everyone, have a great evening. Thank you very much. I'm hoping you're having a great evening too. Drive safely. Stay alert, as Boris Johnson says. If Trump is equals Goring, who is Melania? I think Hermann Goring was a bit of a ladies' man, so it could be anyone. Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth, who lost both legs as a helicopter pilot in Iraq, tweeted that if Trump can't bear to witness those who have sacrificed for our nation, perhaps he should avert his cowardly eyes. I'm not shocked, but I'm appalled, Duckworth separately told reporters. Of course, he thinks about war selfishly. He thinks it's all about a transactional cost. He thinks about it as a transactional cost. No, I wouldn't even give him the credit of that. He thinks about war as, how can I make cash out of this? Not so much as a transactional cost, but how can I profit? How can my family profit? How can my name profit from this? I think the American people certainly believe those stories, Duckworth added. This is something the president has been doing all along. He has constantly, from the time he was running for office, denigrated veterans. Support for Trump among service members has already appeared to be slipping before the new report. Trump has a minus 12, 35 to 50 approval rating amongst members of the military. According to, has a minus, I'm not sure what that means, minus 12, 30 to 50 amongst the military, according to recent Military Times poll, down from plus 9. Okay, so it's dropped from plus 9 to minus 12. That's considerable. Trump avoided service in Vietnam through a diagnosis of bone spurs by his late doctor, whose daughters told the New York Times that the diagnosis was granted as a favor to Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump, who was the doctor's landlord. Fantastic. It's like, sign this document. Wait a minute. You're my landlord. What's this about Donald Trump? Yeah, you sign this to say that Donald can't go to Vietnam. But you're my landlord. What's that got to do with that? Yeah, sign this, or I'm going to kick you out. Do you like this home? It's a nice home. It'd be a shame not to have a home. So sign it, or I'm going to kick you out. Okay, I'll sign it. What do you want me to put on the document? I don't know. Heart condition? No, because he might want to become president someday. Let's put a bone spurs on it. Oh my God. Will Trump be the next president? I hope not, Pete. But I fear yes. You know, this was the case back in 2016. We were expecting, look, who the hell is going to vote for Trump? His support base is small, but they're noisy and they're just a shower of idiots. But he still won. The problem is the Electoral College. He doesn't need to win he doesn't even need to win the popular vote, we've seen. He can still lose the popular vote. He can actually lose the popular vote by a great deal and still win the Electoral College. It's a bit like what happened in December with Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson increased his number in Parliament, but didn't actually increase the number of people voting for the Conservative Party. It's what happened was the Labour Party didn't turn up. So if people don't turn up for Joe Biden, Donald Trump will win. Donald Trump doesn't need to do a lot. He just needs to maintain his current support. He can even give up some of it and he will still win. Stop looking at polls, because polls don't tell you about the Electoral College. They only tell you about the popular vote. And the popular vote at the moment is going towards Biden. But the problem with the popular vote is, at the end of the day, it means very little. You know, the problem with the popular vote is that Joe Biden can win, millions of votes in California, but after that, if he doesn't win them in the right states, he's lost. Just to say about what he said about John McCain, but Trump tweeted news coverage in 2015 of his calling McCain a loser. Trump also referred to former President George H.W. Bush as a loser for being shot down by the Japanese as a Navy pilot in the Second World War. He has a record of this. So even if this turned out to be true, we're not really surprised. Nobody would really, even his supporters can't be really that surprised. I think if you pushed his supporters, they would probably say, yeah, well, they're probably losers anyway. You know, if you die in World War II, you're probably a loser. You know, if the great leader says you're a loser, then you're a loser. You know, if Donald Trump comes out and says, you know, they were heroes, then they'll say, yeah, they were heroes. These people don't think for themselves. They listen to what Donald Trump has to say, and they'll do whatever Donald Trump tells them to do. Now, there's a serious issue at the moment. Donald Trump is saying that these people are should be going out and voting twice. Go out and vote twice. You know, vote in the mail-in ballot, and also vote in the general election. Last time Hillary had plus 7.5 and still lost. Yes. Oh, we have some trolls on the stream tonight. Oh well, it's to be expected. We're at 329 viewers. Fantastic. So guys, we're towards the end of the stream for tonight. I just have one more video. It's a short video of Donald Trump. I promise I'm not going to expose you to too much Donald Trump. It may give you bone spurs.
Let me show you how to create an amazing ad using stock.
Okay, I need to do something about this. Okay, so in this video, Donald Trump mocks Joe Biden about his mask.
The radical left has captured the party. They even elected a person that nobody ever heard of, a senator, it's been a while, against a young, good-looking Kennedy by 10 points.
So you vote for people according to their looks. Of course, Donald Trump was not voted. Who the hell voted for Donald Trump on his looks? Donald Trump couldn't get Secor, but him and Carlson, who pluckers, to give Trump a pass, locked up his crevasse. Don't like sanctimonious tuckers. Fantastic, wee Scott's dog. I know I'm butchering it, I'm sorry. But thank you very much for that super chat. Matt says, Trump, I never said it. I said it, but I didn't mean it. It's all fake news. What are bone spurs anyway? Bone spurs are, I think, are malformations of the bone. I think it's like when you get certain injuries, or you get an injury, or you get some sort of illnesses. The bones regrow, and they regrow irregularly, I think. But we have a doctor on the stream, so he can actually answer that question instead of having an idiot like me trying to answer that question and guessing. The Electoral College has so much political power to swing states, while the coastal states are powering the economy. Yeah, the Electoral College needs to be done away with. He's God's gift to women, don't you know? It's that sweat, isn't it? It's that orange sweat that that turns the women on, isn't it?
In Massachusetts, did you know Kennedy lost in Massachusetts? You know why? Because he wasn't a radical left.
He wasn't a radical left. A radical left what? He wasn't a radical left. Yeah, waiting. You're using the adjective and not the noun. A radical left what, Donald? I assume he means a radical leftist. But Donald Trump doesn't know the difference between a left and a leftist. and the people cheer. Yes. He wasn't a radical left. Yes.
Radical left. He was like a semi-normal person, just slightly left. No, but think of it. This is what...
He doesn't understand anything. He doesn't understand policy. He doesn't understand political positions at all.
What's happened, and this is really what's happened. If you're not a radical lefty, meaning...
Finally he has the right now.
guns, meaning fossil fuels. They want wind. But Biden replied, yes.
I think Donald Trump is against wind because it messes up his hair, his toupee.
Yes, he'll get rid of those jobs. And he famously told the voter, I want you to look in my eyes when he's not wearing the mask, because I've never seen a man that liked a mask. Look, I'm all...
Oh my God, okay. Richard, thank you very much for that super chat. Great stream tonight. Bone spurs occurs because of osteoporosis damaging the joint. Thank you very much. See, that was a much better explanation than mine. You didn't need to do a super chat for that, but thank you for that. So he's I never saw a guy wearing a mask so much.
Man that liked a mask. Look, I'm all for it. We have a big weekend distance on the weekend.
Maybe Donald Trump has now become a stand-up comedian. Maybe that's what he's doing. He says, like, to hell with this presidency thing. I'm going to become a stand-up comedian.
And all of that stuff, and wear your mask when you're close together in particular, and wash your hands, all those things. We have Labor Day weekend coming up. But did you ever see a man that likes a mask as much as him? And then...
He's wearing the mask because it's a good idea. He's wearing a mask because he's demonstrating that he wants other people to wear the mask. He wants to be shown as, look, I'm the leader here. I'm not asking people to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. Now, it could be all for show. It could be a political tool. But I don't care if it is, because I've said before how it would be a good idea for all politicians to arrive at the podium wearing a mask, take off the mask, and then present, and then put the mask back on when they're finished. Of course, Donald Trump wouldn't do that, because for him, wearing a mask is some sign of weakness. I don't know why. There's a pandemic. It's not like you're the only one wearing it. It's not like you say, look, I have some condition, even though that's not a sign of weakness, like and that's not me projecting. This is what these people believe, you know. Oh, look, he's wearing a mask. He's not healthy. He can't be our leader. No, we have to wear a mask. It's a good idea to wear a mask.
Then he makes a speech, and he always has it, not always, but a lot of times he has it hanging down. Because you know what? It gives him a feeling of security. If I were a psychiatrist...
We even have a laughter track. You know? Donald, I don't know if they're laughing at you or they're laughing with you.
Right? No, I'd say this guy's got some big issues. Hanging down. Congressman, give me your mask. I want to have it hanging from my ear. I don't want to touch your damn mask. Mike,
does this work on people? Does this actually convince people that this is the person you should be voting for? I don't know. All I can do is I hope that by the end of October, it's clear that Donald Trump is not going to become president. And in November, people, whether they're going out to vote or not, whether it's safe to vote or not, I don't know. But I hope this guy is removed from office. He's done enough damage, more than enough damage. Do I prefer Joe Biden? Of course. But is Joe Biden the person to lead America into the next generation? No. But the bar has been set extremely low. As I've said before, a random person on the street would be a better president than Donald Trump, because they would actually understand that it's important to surround themselves with people who are competent, not cronies or convicts or future convicts. So guys, we've reached the end of the stream, but don't go yet. Don't leave. remember, we have our one for the road. So before we see our final funny video, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has come on the stream tonight. It's been an amazing stream, and it seems to be going from strength to strength. And the strength, of course, comes from you guys, because you make it a super stream. We're over 300, almost 340, almost 340 views. My software still hasn't updated, so I hope it's still at that. It's been a pleasure once again. Thank you so much. Thanks once again to everyone who's come on the stream. Thanks to everyone who has sent a super chat. Thanks to the moderators who have always done a fantastic job, bang up job, always keeping the stream on the straight and narrow, making sure that, you know, the trolls are kept at bay. If anyone would like to become a patron, you can become a patron. In the links, the moderators will post them. They're on the stream as well. And you can join us after the stream. We have a chat, laughing and joking and talking about serious things as well. So without further ado, we'll listen to our one for the road. And let me just copy the link, and we'll, as always, it's almost a regular occurrence, this.
Abbott, the former...
So this is Janie Goodley, who does a fantastic accent, if you're new to the stream, a fantastic accent of, an imitation, I should say, of Nicola Sturgeon.
Australian Prime Minister said that it might have been better if elderly people were left to die from the effects of COVID. What do you think?
Wow. I mean, the amount of care home deaths in Britain and in Scotland will haunt me for the rest of my days, and I will have to live with the fact that I made decisions that people died under, but at no point would I just sit back and go, oh well, people have died. He sounds like a complete psychopath. What the fuck's going on in the world?
But he's very good on trade, we heard from the health sector.
How do we know he's good at trade? The guy's a sexist, a homophobe, a misogynist, and an all-round absolute dick. I mean, just because he's good at one thing, apparently, that's like saying Nigel Farage makes a really good steak pie and he's brilliant at jigsaws. Let's get him in to deal with Brexit. No, he sounds like a complete fucking idiot. Why don't you just pick a random off the street? Big Stevie McAllister, he's good at cleaning windows. Get him in to do the Brexit deal. Fuck's sake. Oh, I'm out of here. Right, where's my clicky pen? Right, Frank, get the door. I want a wee steak pie supper, but not made by Nigel Farage. What a fucking day.
As always, fantastic. So guys, thank you so much for coming on the stream. Have a great evening. Great weekend, actually. Stay safe, stay alert, as Boris Johnson always says. And I'll see you all next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel, 9:30 British Summer Time, next Tuesday. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all very soon. Good night, guys. Take care.